All right, I am here with Matt Breen, staff writer of the Philadelphia Inquirer and professor at Temple University. Matt, please tell me about yourself.
Makai. Yeah, so like you said, I work at the Inquirer. I get to teach a class at Temple for the last 3 semesters. Grew up in Philly, went to Temple, interned after Temple at the Washington Post, and then was able to come back home and work at the Inquirer where I'd worked all throughout college and did a little bit of high school sports, college sports, boxing, all different random stuff until,
Austin.
yeah, boxing. And until 2015. I started in 2012. 2015, I got to cover the Phillies, which is what I always wanted to do growing up. And then I did that for 7 seasons. And then they asked me if I want to do this job I do now, which really was what I look back. It's like the job I probably really always wanted to do. And I get to write about whatever I want to write about in Philly sports and try to come up with interesting stories and different stuff and sports features of what they call it, and it's fun. Every day is something different, and always just having good conversations with people that lead the story. So it's a lot of fun.
All right, you want to just get right into it?
Yeah,
So, in class, we've been learning a lot about emerging technologies and visual media content. So, my first question for you is, how has social media changed the way you interact with sports news reporting?
yeah, it's definitely so. It was just when I was starting to get into the business, Twitter was really like that was the first social media that was really being utilized by reporters. And it was really just a place to like dump your story or to put some, live updates from a game or something. And now you saw it grow through there and it become like more of a community. And you would see, people that weren't just reporters, everybody had a platform or a voice. And it's a good tool now to sometimes I'll see something like I'm working on a story for some time in March, and it's based on I saw something on Twitter. Like it was saying I saw a tweet that led me down a bit of a rabbit hole to find this story. So it's a good I would say I use it primarily now to read, like stay updated, but also to try to as one of the many sources, there's tons of rivers that I try to churn to get stories and social media, Twitter especially, is probably one of those ways that I try to look for story ideas.
All right, this is actually a follow-up to my first question. F is there ever a circumstance in which you'd reject evolving methods of visual storytelling? Or would you generally say that a part of the job is accepting all new forms of news media?
Yeah, it's part of the like if you reject it, you either evolve or you become a dinosaur. So you have to embrace it, you have to understand it, you have to learn how to use it, learn what it's good for, learn what it's not good for. And you never want to like do something that doesn't feel authentic to you and try to act like you're you know I don't know. If you're not comfortable with it, then you don't use it, but you always have to work outside of your comfort zones and learn these things. And like I've talked about in class, like I don't have a TikTok account, but I understand it. Like I know what it is. You know, I, I I can see the benefits to it for sure. Like we've shown some of those, sports writers that use TikTok type videos. If it's a Twitter or an Instagram reel, like there's really you can get creative. That can be another form of storytelling. Like they're the only like my primary form of storytelling is a written story, but there is, you know, unlimited amounts of different ways to tell stories, and social media and the growing changing forms of social media is definitely one of them.
For my third question, in class, we've been theorizing a lot about what we think is going to happen in the future of new sports news broadcasting. Wanted to know what you thought where news media will go from here with the development of all these new technologies.
um I think it's just you never know where it's going. Like it moves so fast, and I'm looking it's 2026 and I started in 2012 and how different it was 14 years ago and how different it's going to be 14 years from now. But I think it is rapidly changing with, the iPhone and whatever that phone is in your pocket. You have to understand how to use it, how to shoot video. And you can't like I said, like my primary form is a written story, but like I can't pigeonhole myself, and that's all I know how to do is write a story. Like you have to wherever that trend's going, probably leaning towards shorter, um, snippier things, video forms is really just that you have to understand it and learn how to use it and embrace it, and then also use it not only for yourself. Like I said, I find stories on Twitter. It's like, well, you got to be able to find, you got to be able to use those platforms to find stories for yourself too.
Do you ever worry about any of the negative implications of these new technologies, like let's say artificial intelligence? I know that in general, journalism is not an industry that should be utilizing artificial intelligence in such a prevalent way, but it is making its way into most of the new industries out there. So I wanted to know what your thoughts on it. If there,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Like, what, like I write, right? So like, an AI could write a story, but so, well, how can I avoid that, or how can I stay ahead of AI? And with creativity, with talking to people, with writing about people that stories that aren't already out there, right? So like the AI, like ChatGPT can't go and report. It can't find this guy that's never had a story told and write it. It can rewrite what you've written and this person's written, and then you can get a story about Allen Iverson or something. But if you can find an angle that no one's ever written, that's how you stay ahead of the AI. And you need to instead of like you need to be the AI source instead of being using the AI as a source. So if you're above it and it's pulling your information, it's like, well, good, because you're ahead of the game. But if you're using AI, then that means like, what good are you? So I don't. I'm sure there are benefits, like I said, to using it for um, research and stuff, but I don't use it in that form. There's a newspaper in Ohio. I think it's the Cleveland Plain Dealer that has a reporter that uses. It was like a big story like 2 weeks ago that her primary job is to use AI to find stories in the community. So I don't know enough if that's good or bad. It doesn't seem like you shouldn't have to rely on AI to write about your community that you live in. So I don't, I think I can, you need to be a part of your community, not just allow force like ChatGPT to bring you into the community. So I don't use it, but I also don't want to, like I said, you can't, just like social media, you can't just like plug your ears and hope it goes away because AI is clearly not going away. So it's something you probably need to look at and understand, like you said, the positives and the negatives of social media, the same with AI.
before I go on to my last question, you said what was the website in Cleveland that you were talking about?
It's the Plain Dealer is the newspaper, but so the website would be cleveland.com, and the editor in chief of the Plain Dealer is actually a Temple grad. Um, if you Google it, like look up like Cleveland, and it's a woman reporter. She was like she had been a reporter and like a traditional reporter, and now she's like an AI rewrite specialist or something. I forget what the job title is, but and he said like she's one of the more successful reporters in the newsroom, and that what her job is using AI to find them stories. Like I guess you would type in the chat GPT like what's happening in, we'll say it's Philly, like what's happening in Bucks County this weekend, and it'll find you the story. Like, here's what you got to go write, or here's a good story that people are talking about on Facebook, maybe. So I think instead of like living in those spaces yourself, you're allowing ChatGPT to kind of guide you to where the story is.
Right. All right. My last question for you is, what advice would you give to the next generation of reporters that may have to deal with the same changes in the industry that you have?
Yeah, just be ready. I mean, the changes, I hate to sound like, I keep talking about, when I was young, but I remember being in high school and, I, like you guys, I say 2007 and that was forever ago. But like for me, like I was in high school last week and we used to get the newspaper every Thursday. Like the Inquirer would supply a free newspaper to the journalism class that we could read. And, um, we were talking about obviously this was all on the internet at the time, but there's no iPad and no iPhone yet. So my teacher would say, like, the internet is going to take away the newspaper and stuff. And I was like, that makes no sense. Like, you can't take a computer, like a computer at the time, it's not even really a laptop, it's a PC. Like, you can't take that to your kitchen table. You can't take that on the train. Like, of course, the newspaper is always going to be there. And, like, you can need to have a physical paper to read on the go. And then 3 years later, you have an iPhone and an iPad, and that's gone. So it's gonna everything moves very fast, and just be ready for change and be willing to adapt to wherever that change happens.
All right, thank you so much for getting on, Matt. I learned a lot from you. Sorry, my roommates just came in, but
All
thank you
good.
so much for providing your time today.
Awesome, Kai. Enjoy your spring break, man.
You too. Thank you.
See you next week.
See
See
you
ya.
next week.